That's
Well, it is
amazing.
just by combining, it's by combining two of our papers, then you see it. One is the food content and one is the observation about vitamin K2 in those who experience a lot of cardiovascular mortality and those who survive. Yeah.
Wow. And is this just for an expansion? Well, a few quick questions on that because it's such an important point. What is it in the production of curd that actually produces it that doesn't really occur in the manufacture or the production of traditional cheeses?
It is both in traditional cheese and in curd cheese. It is to the same level that you grow your K2, and that is because of the starter ferment
Okay,
that contains certain bacteria. That is the lactococci, and that is also propionic acid bacteria, and they produce the K2 again to their own benefit. But
sure,
of course, when we eat those bacteria, we ingest what they have made,
sure.
and that is K2.
Oh, that's excellent. That is just really good.
So yeah, this is very important for the dairy industry because of you can imagine that they are willing to improve the K2 production by their ferments. So
Yeah.
they want to have better ferments.
Have you investigated as to which specific species are the most potent at producing this K2?
No, well, we do some of that work, but this is I cannot talk too much about it, you know.
Okay, so you've got a product in development.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, that's exciting because is this product going to be something that the commercial dairies use, or it is some more designed for the end consumer who's going to be taken as a supplement?
No, we have the supplements on one hand, and we have the functional foods on the other hand. And the
Oh,
supplements, that is
wow.
mainly MK7, and the functional foods, that will also be MK7, but that is then mixed with, say, MK7 powder or so. And the other part is then the MK8 and 9, and that is the cheeses, the curd cheeses. And of course, they will find also bacteria in yogurts, for instance, that will make yogurt K2 rich.
Wow, that is just amazing. So when do you project to have that product available?
I don't have a product available. That's dairy industry, and that's why I can't talk too much about it.
But
But I expect that these products will come on the market maybe next year or in the year after that. I don't know,
so
but
relatively soon, relatively soon. That
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
probably in
think so.
conjunction
Yeah,
with the time that the MJP test will be available.
could be. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a nice coincidence that's emerging
Yep.
there. So on this, is there anything that can be done from a supplement perspective to actually improve the absorption, to like nanosize these particles so that they're absorbed more efficiently and you need less of a dose? Or because I'm just not familiar with the physical biochemistry of it. Is it
Yeah.
a large molecule, or is it there's some other variables that prevent it from being absorbed?
No, vitamin K is a rather small molecule, only it is not soluble in water. So you need fat,
Hmm.
fat in the meal. So the capsules are always in a certain oil, sunflower seed oil or so, and then you can easily dissolve your vitamin K. And you need in the intestines a certain bile excretion. Of course, when you eat a meal, you ingest a meal, and it is a little bit fatty, then you have sufficient bile production so that in the intestines you have micelles formed in which this vitamin K is incorporated pretty easily, and then it is just transported through the wall of the intestines into the lymph and then into the bloodstream, and then it reaches the liver.
Excellent. So, well, if you wouldn't mind, at the beginning you reviewed the benefits of the vitamin K2 and talked about the cardiovascular and the bone benefits and the likelihood that there's some emerging brain benefits that we're just beginning to explore. Um, the Are there any? Could you be more specific on that, or
No.
No.
The brain, I cannot be more specific on
No.
that.
Well, maybe the other ones, the
And
cardiovascular ones. I mean, and the bone, because and maybe put into a proper perspective as to what your understanding of the benefits of K2 versus other similar interventions, such as lowering cholesterol or doing exercise to increase bone density. You know, just to give the listeners a perspective on the relative importance of vitamin K2 as an intervention. Because you
yeah.
know, they're relatively, you know, they need a barometer to assess that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that vitamin K2 will never do the work alone.
Hmm.
You need other also health measures, and one of them is vitamin D.
Hmm.
The two collaborate, you know. There is a synergistic effect of vitamin D and vitamin K, because again, this MGP is synthesized in the vessel wall, but the synthesis of this MGP is increased by vitamin D, and then the activity is increased by vitamin K. So they work together, those two, and that's also in bone. So if you work on bone health, never do vitamin D and calcium together. Also take vitamin K in it. There's another aspect in that respect. If you give a high dose of calcium to, for instance, post menopausal women, then you give an extra calcium load to the body. And there is a publication in a pretty large cohort of women taking extra calcium, and they got a lot of cardiovascular mortality. And I think that you increase the calcium load in the body. It's good for the bones. It was demonstrated to be good for the bones, but is of course bad for the blood vessels because they get calcified. You have to protect the blood vessels again with extra vitamin K so that you can give the MGP there the maximal activity in its calcification inhibitory activity.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm still curious about the K2 a benefit that you've observed. So, assuming that a person is taking vitamin D, has a healthy lifestyle, is doing
Yeah,
strength training exercises, and taking all the other accessory micronutrients that we know promote bone health. So,
yeah,
what type of benefit do you see uh, by that two groups? One is doing that. Both the groups are doing that, and one is taking K2 and the other isn't. I mean, how much? I mean, do you see?
yeah.
I mean, can they even get close to maximum bone density without the K2?
Um, This is a difficult question at this stage of the research. And what was calculated in what we call the Rotterdam study, that was the first study demonstrating the beneficial effect of vitamin K2, that was that the life expectancy of those who had 45 microgram of K2 intake was 7 years longer than those in the lowest quartile, and that was 12 micrograms per day. So you can live longer. In a subsequent study, and that was called the Prospect study, that came later. It was from people where we didn't collaborate by the same time, so they did an independent study in 16,000 subjects, and they were followed for more than 10 years, and they calculated how much say benefit you have from 10 micrograms K2. So each 10 micrograms K2 extra in the diet gave 9% less cardiovascular events.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much.
Yeah, it's a very
If you have
significant benefit.
if you have 45 micrograms in your supplement, that means almost 40% less risk for cardiovascular events.
Yeah, that's a profound benefit. So, cost-wise on these supplements, if one decides to choose that, you know, my personal bias is to take a nutritional approach, and because I think there's probably, and generally speaking, less risk and perhaps more benefit because you get the whole supplement in its other accessory nutrients. But if one chooses to use supplements, can you just give our listeners an idea of the cost of choosing MK7 even at the high doses with the 45 milligrams like you looked at and the Japanese did versus the
Yeah.
MK7?
Okay, 45 milligrams of MK4. I don't know whether it's available in the United States. Not in Europe anyhow.
Mhm.
This is so high. I think only in Japan you can buy it in
Okay.
that